manager for Mile High Spirits. Welcome to our beautiful rack house, downtown Denver. We're located near Coors Field, and we're about 3 blocks east of Coors Field at 22nd and Lawrence, 2201 Lawrence, to be exact. We invite you to come down Thursdays through Sundays. We're open 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Thursdays and Fridays, and then 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. Hopefully we can extend that to midnight soon with an order from the state that lets us stay open a little bit later. Welcome into your virtual happy hour. We're also going to have a virtual tour. You're getting a sneak peek of the rack house right now. One of our owners and founders, Wyn Ferrell, will take you on a virtual tour in between these cocktail recipes. So we hope that you have had time to gather all your supplies and our products. What we're going to do first is the Fall from the Tree cocktail, and it features our flagship Fireside Bourbon. So what you should have is Fireside Bourbon, some apple cider. I've got some Talbot's Mountain Apple Cider. Big B's is a great choice. Hopefully you went local, because that's what this is all about. That's what we're all about. And also some cinnamon syrup. Hopefully you had time to make your cinnamon syrup, a little fresh lemon juice, and some bitters. We're using Angostura bitters. We also have fresh apple we can garnish with, as well as some cinnamon sticks. So the Fall from the Tree cocktail is a great new style fall cocktail. It's going to be served cold tonight, but we can actually adjust that to make it hot. So because we have apple cider, you can always do it with a hot apple cider and do it in a stem glass. We're going to do it in a rocks glass on one big rock. And it's pretty easy. Just I'll try to keep it simple and slow so you can follow along. And that way you can drink your cocktail while Wyn is taking you on your tour. We'll come back after the tour, give yourself 15, 20 minutes for the tour, and we'll make another cocktail with our Denver Dry Gin. That's going to be called the Bee's Knees, and that includes the Denver Dry Gin, fresh lemon juice, and some honey syrup. We're using some local Colorado honey tonight as well. Some of you might have picked up our contemporary gin called Summit Gin. While the Denver Dry is a classic London dry style, the Summit Gin will work just fine. It has more botanicals. It is a little more floral and botanical forward, and it's perfect in craft cocktail bars. And it's what we call our contemporary or Western style gin. So either one will work tonight. But let's get going in the Fall from the Tree. We got to give a shout out to the happiest hour in New York City, where this recipe, can't claim the recipe, but we're going to adapt it to our beautiful Fireside Bourbon. Okay, so Fireside, we want to take 2 ounces and pour it into your jigger. Also, grab your shaker tin. I have some ice in there, so please put some ice in if you don't have any in there, so you can chill it up. 2 ounces of Fireside Bourbon. Now, Fireside Bourbon is, as I mentioned, one of our flagship brands. It's a straight bourbon. If you know what that means, you know it means it's at least a 2-year aged bourbon, and we do it in new American oak barrels, which you can see behind me, and you'll get up close with Wyn's tour in just a few moments. We use Colorado corn as well as Colorado rye and malted barley in our mash bill. So we ferment it with our own homegrown yeast. We also run it through our copper still, which you're going to see on the tour, and we then barrel age it for at least 2 years at around 120 proof. But then we harvest it, or pull it out of the barrel, and hit it with pure Rocky Mountain water. So it's bottled at 80 proof for your drinking pleasure. So we got 2 ounces of Fireside Bourbon. The cinnamon syrup is next. So it's pretty strong if you made it like I made it, with 4 cinnamon sticks per cup of sugar and cup of water. About 3/4 of an ounce. You can do a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on your preference. Lemon juice, just a little bit goes a long way. Only about 1/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. And we've got some apple cider, again from Talbot's, local. Let's do an ounce of apple cider. I'm going to make 2 drinks, while you guys are making 1. So I'm going to put 2 ounces. I'm doubling up on the fireside bourbon again. And this is if you wanted to make 2 drinks like me. 1 for me, 1 for Wyn. Okay, the final ingredient is just a dash of bitters. So a couple dashes, plenty. So I've got my rocks glasses here with some big ice cubes. You can do those at home with a cool ice cube mold that you can buy at places like Davis's. Or you can just use your refrigerator ice if you really want to. So, shake it up. Doesn't need to be shaken that hard. We don't want to bruise anything, but we do want to meld the flavors. Take your strainer. Pour it over the rock. And I've got a nice, fresh fall apple to garnish it.
We have a question in from Jared. How long should you boil the cinnamon for?
Good question. So on the recipe card, it should go into detail, but I'll let you know right now. When you are making the simple syrup, you're essentially making a simple syrup first, then adding the cinnamon to flavor it like a tea. So take a cup of sugar, a cup of water, blend them together, bring to a boil, and then take it off the heat, put your cinnamon in there. So you can use cinnamon bark, I use cinnamon sticks. So put those cinnamon sticks in there after it's removed from the heat, but you can let it sit and steep and cool down to room temp. Then you can keep it in the refrigerator overnight and for up to a couple of weeks. So you're essentially putting the cinnamon sticks in there overnight. But I've had the cinnamon sticks in my syrup for 1 week, so it's really strong. Wyn, you want to join me? If anybody has any other questions?
I think all we do right now is enjoy.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, someone's asking if you add a lemon. They don't see it on the recipe. How much lemon juice?
Oh, okay. It was just a splash, 1/4 ounce. We will add more lemon juice for the second cocktail for the bee's knees. And that
1/4 ounce, or 3/4 ounce. Lemon?
just 1/4 ounce.
Yeah, 1/4 ounce.
1/4 ounce. Now we can adopt this into a hot drink. So with hot apple cider, you can do the same thing. Obviously not putting it on ice, but it'd be the same ratios and drink it out of a stem glass. So we have just started serving hot apple cider drinks in Montana this week. It's our fall menu. Includes some cider drinks. So again, we invite you to come down 22nd and Lawrence in Ballpark District of Denver. And if you guys don't have any other questions at the moment, hopefully you're enjoying your cocktail. And if while we can.
They just cheers.
Cheers, right.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody. Clink. Okay, so next up will be a virtual tour of hosted by Wyn Ferrell, one of our founders and partners. And I'm gonna follow him along.
Hey, everybody. My name is Wyn Ferrell. I'm one of the founding owners here at Mile High Spirits. I'd like to virtually welcome you to my distillery. We'll pop in the tasting room a little bit at the end so you guys can see that as well. But today we're going to be focusing on how we produce our Fireside Bourbon, which was used in this wonderful cocktail that Adam just taught us all how to make. So we are in the barrel room right now. We will be spending a little more time here in the middle of the tour, but let's get started. So Mile High Spirits started in 2011, where Ratio Beer Works is right now. If you guys are familiar with Ratio, it's just up the street from where we're currently located here at 22nd and Lawrence. We've been here since 2000. Start really with Broggen Farmers Family Association. It's an elevator association, which means it's a combination of farmers' efforts where we get amazing, high-quality Colorado corn. And the beauty of Colorado corn is that it's very sweet. We have cold nights, which cause this crystallization of sugars inside of our grain. It's why our peaches are so sweet as well. So when we're creating whiskey, when we're creating any spirit, we're really looking for sugar in our grain. Because what we're going to do is we're going to convert that sugar into alcohol, because yeast eats sugar and it makes alcohol. So what we do is we take our corn, rye, and barley and we mill it right here in our mill room. The outcome is a product that's almost like flour. You can see what we've done is we've really ground up all of the grain. We have what's called a roller mill. It's two large rollers that come together and they crush that grain into a very fine powder. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that crushed grain and we're going to transfer up another pipe and we're going to go to our brew house. So the brew house is essentially where we're going to brew this like a beer. It would be a pretty strange beer because it's mostly corn, but a beer nonetheless. So what we're going to do is we're going to boil these grains. What we're looking to do is we're looking to extract the sugar I was talking about, and we are looking to suspend it in water. So we're going to put it, this is our brew house over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the milled grain into the tank and we're going to boil it. So slowly, over a few hours, we will have what's called Play-Doh or bricks, the amount of suspended sugar and water that we're looking for that's ideal for fermentation. So we boil it until we have our Play-Doh. Then we transfer it over here into our fermenters. And this is where we begin fermentation of our product. This is the first time we're starting to create alcohol. So the way that we do that is we pitch yeast into our mash, and we begin fermentation. One thing that's very unique about us is we actually propagate our own proprietary yeast strain. So we worked with a cell biologist in Colorado Springs to come up with a yeast strain that allows for us to tell people exactly what our grain bill is, even our grain suppliers, but nobody can make our whiskey because we use our own proprietary yeast strain. So we pitch the yeast into essentially our sugar water, and it begins to ferment. After 3 days of fermentation, we have about 10% alcohol by volume. So what we're going to do through distillation is we're going to separate the lighter, more pure, less dense alcohol molecules from the heavier water molecules. We're going to do that with our still.
Okay.
So this is our still, Steamy Wonder. Steamy Wonder is a fully custom German still that we had made and delivered in 2014. Steamy Wonder can produce about 1.5 barrels to 2 barrels a day. He's definitely the workhorse here in the building. So getting back to what he does. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate that lighter, more pure alcohol vapor from the heavier water vapor. So the way that that happens is really all through boiling points. Alcohol boils at 176 degrees. Water boils at 212 degrees. But what happens is that when the yeast creates alcohol in solution, the azeotrope, they meet in the middle at 188 degrees. Both the alcohol and the water boil together. And what happens is those two molecules rise up the hat and into the column. The column is equipped with 6 bubble plates on the side. Each bubble plate is a layer of resistance that creates more or less a different purity of alcohol that will come out of Steamy Wonder. So what happens is the alcohol and water molecules make it through the first plate, no problem, but they're too heavy to continue on their journey. So they actually condense from a vapor back into a liquid. They meet the upcoming heat, they turn back into a vapor, but when they do that, they shed water and they leave water behind. And that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to shed that water. So it keeps refluxing its way up to the top, becoming lighter and lighter each time, until finally it gets up to the defleclimator and the catalytic converter, which are just fancy words for things that remove sulfites and control our temperatures. And then it goes across the liner and into this condenser. So inside of this condenser is 11 smaller pipes. And on the outside of those pipes, inside of the cylinder, is cold water. So we condense all that vapor back into liquid, and it comes out of this. This is called the parrot. So the parrot in here is filled with liquid. That is actually hearts. That's really good stuff. So that right there is Fireside Bourbon. It's coming out at about 68% alcohol, and we fill our spirit safe with the alcohol. So after this process is complete, we have our White Dog whiskey. It is time to put it in a barrel. So we're going to go where we started, back to the barrel room. On the way, I will note that our equipment is actually computer automated, so we could turn on and off motors, transfer liquids, control all of our temperatures within 1/10 of a degree. So we have a pretty cool system in that it takes a lot of the basic fundamentals and adds a little bit of technology to them just to make life a little easier. Our barrel room here. Excuse the fresh barrels that are wrapped right now, but we have over 550 aging whiskey barrels, over 250,000 pounds of aging bourbon. Barrels in this room age anywhere from racked yesterday to on the rack for 6 years. So we have been producing amazing bourbons, and we've never been more proud of what we're both putting into and taking out of barrels these days. So our barrels mostly come from Kelvin Cooperage. They're based in Kentucky. They get all their wood from Minnesota and Southeast. They're amazing to work with. They're family business. They've been around for a long time. You know, a lot of different cooperages all over the country tout different benefits. We find that this cooperage creates really, really bold flavors, and we use a medium char on our barrels because we call it an honest char. You can overchar a barrel and get more color into the product, but the reality is that you want the color of the bottle, what's in your glass, to be indicative of the flavor that that you're looking to taste, or that the flavor that the product will be. So you can see here is just like what white wine would go into, just standard oak slats. This is our medium char level right here. So the reason why we're putting whiskey into a charred barrel is because vodka is odorless, tasteless, neutral alcohol distilled to 95%. Whiskey is not. Whiskey is distilled under 80%, and it has funk, it has flavor, it has all kinds of impurities coming through, and this is going to do a lot for that. So the charred wood is not only carbon that will help with the filtration of impurities, it's also burnt sugars, which will help all of the alcohol esters bond to something. When you distill and you strip the water from alcohol, the alcohol is gonna thrive for bonds, and it's called mellowing. That happens over time, and this will just impact all of the bonds that are happening and create really, really delicious flavors out of the mellowing process. So so those are our barrels. For Fireside, we mix 2- and 4-year bourbons. And then for our single barrel, we're releasing 3- and 4-year bourbons right now. But we have some really, really incredible single barrel projects coming out, including a wheated bourbon, a high rye bourbon, a straight rye, We have laying down up top Scottish style single malts, American style single malts. We have lots of very, very cool whiskeys that are going to be coming out soon. So we've talked a lot about whiskey. We're going to dive briefly into gin because our next drink is gin. It's going to be a good segue into that. So come on over here and we'll go to the first still that we had as a distillery. This is the still that I founded the company with my business partner, Joe. This still's name is Walt, and we only use it for gin now. So you can see there's actually our gin botanicals in here. So what we do to make our gin is we grind up our juniper, our citrus, our cardamom, coriander. We grind up all of our botanicals, and we put it in 95% distillate. So something that would make vodka if you added water. It meets the purity. And alcohol is a solvent. So it will take all of the oils out of there and homogenize. So after we ground it up, you can see it kind of looks like mud, but it will taste great when we boil it off, recapture it, and send it into a carboy. So this still normally has an 8-foot column on it. The problem is if you have the 8-foot column on it and you distill this, you will get odorless, tasteless, neutral alcohol out the other end. What we're looking to do is convert this alcohol, oils, everything into a vapor, immediately cool it, send it down into a carboy. When this is full, it's called our flavor elixir or flavor compound. This can make about 1,400 bottles of gin. So gin is kind of the original flavored vodka. It meets the class type of vodka in every way, except it has a flavoring that is derived from a juniper base. So moving on, the rest of it will be fairly quick. We'll get back to drinking. But over here,
I'm getting thirsty.
over here, you can see we have our 3 operators.
I'll pause just a second for the bottle. Take you a little more up close. We're going to flip on the light switch. We did pay the electric bill, trust us. There we go. So this is our semi-automated bottling line.
Yeah, so we rinse the bottles, fill the bottles, cork the bottles, tamper, and label all right here.
There you go. Laney says, I love this bourbon. Yummy cocktail.
Fantastic. I'm glad you like it.
Thank you, Laney.
And we'll just touch on punching mule really quickly and get back to making a gin drink. We make our punching mule here. This is a 1,300-gallon mixing tank where we mix Elevate vodka to 7%. We add natural ginger, natural lime, and sugar that is grown, that's derived from beets that are grown in Colorado and it's refined in Colorado. We blend it all in here and we charge our bright tanks. These bright tanks are refrigerated tanks that we chill down to 26 degrees. The reason why we're chilling it is because liquid has to be cold in order to accept carbonation. So we chill it down, we run it through our on-the-fly carbonator named Fizzy Elliott, and then we can it over here at our canning line.
The punching mule, once again, is available at both Davidsons as well. It's America's first canned Moscow mule.
Yep. And then this is our canning line right here. It does about 55 cans a minute, and it was fully made in Boulder, Colorado, by really, really great people at Wild Goose Canning. So we'll head back into the barrel room and start making our next cocktail. If there are any questions on the walk, fire them off. I'm happy to answer.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Ready to make one while you have another in your hand. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to turn this over to Wyn, and we'll get ready for the second cocktail.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Wyn.
Oh. All right, filling up the shaker tin with some ice.
Okay, so next up on the virtual happy hour cocktail menu is called the Bee's Knees. It's a classic cocktail, about 100 years old, Prohibition era cocktail. And the name derives from slang for anything that's good. It's the Bee's Knees. So we're gonna feature the Denver Dry Gin, or if you have the summer gin, great. It'll work fine. Denver Dry, once again, is a London Dry style. It's our classic, soft and balanced London Dry. Not as much of a pine cone bomb. If you've already tried it, you know that already. If you haven't tried it, take a little sip. Because it's softer than some of those natural brands that you might have gotten used to, or your grandpa drank. It's delicious, and it's one of my favorite things that we do here. And it comes out of that big glass still. Some people call it the big bomb, but it's still a beautiful process that we do here to make our gin. The Summit Gin is a more contemporary Western style. It just means more botanical forward. It's more complex flavor profile, more floral. It has ginger and allspice and lavender. 12 adventurous botanicals, we like to say. So the Bee's Knees is fairly straightforward. It's Denver Dry Gin, honey syrup, and fresh lemon juice. So the honey syrup you're going to make similar to the cinnamon syrup, but it's simple syrup with honey. Hopefully you've already made some, but if not, you can do it really easily. 1 cup of water and 1 cup or more of honey, depending on how thick you want it. Where you do 3/4 cup water, 1 cup honey. I like it a little thicker. You bring that to a boil. You stir it up. You blend it. Let it cool to room temp. Put it in an airtight container, and you can store it for a couple weeks in the fridge. And it takes the place of simple syrup. You can do this with many cocktails. Right. So let's get our Denver Dry Gin or our Summit Gin. Take a whiff. Love that smell. Two ounces of Denver Dry Gin in your jigger. Go ahead and pour it into your mixing tin. I've got some ice in there as well. Honey syrup. So the recipe calls for equal parts. Honey syrup with fresh lemon juice. Again, I like it a little more on the acidic side. So I'm going to do a touch more lemon juice than honey. So if you do an ounce of lemon juice, do 3/4 ounce honey. If you like it sweeter, flip it. You want one, Wyn?
Let's do it.
So I'm doubling it up here while you guys can make one or as many as you want, just double everything. So we're drinking these out of rocks glasses. You can also use fruit glass if you have one at home. If you don't like it on the rocks. Kind of a rocks guy. Shake it up for a good 5-10 seconds.
Perfect.
Okay, take a strainer, just pour it over the rocks, or the big rock in our case. And we're garnishing it with a fresh lemon peel. So these are standard fruit peelers that we use here at Mile High Spirits. One little trick that you might want to incorporate: squeeze the peel over your drink, it releases some oils, and then you can rub it around the rim, twist and drop it in. Squeeze, rub around the rim, drop it in. Hopefully everybody's kept up. And
Cheers, everybody. We'll take questions here in a second.
cheers. Drinks first, questions next.
That's good. Wow. Very nice.
Wow, first time I ever made it. No, I'm just kidding. So remember, try to support local. Well, that's what we're all in this together. And we want to support Davidson's. We're happy that they're supporting us. We have local apple cider here, local honey. It's more important than ever to support your local business, your small business. And yes, we are a small business. But please come down and join us next time you're downtown. Once again, our opening hours are Thursday and Friday, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then Saturday, Sunday, 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. We hope to extend those hours to midnight once the state allows us. But please come in, enjoy yourself, drink some cocktails. We have food trucks on the weekends. We have live music on the weekends as well, Friday evenings, acoustic covers, and Saturday afternoons, bluegrass, plenty of bluegrass. So once again,
Love
thanks
this drink.
for joining us.
Sarah says she loves it.
Great. So
Thank you, Sarah.
bees knees and fall from the tree. And once again, we've just started our fall cocktail menu here that does include hot apple cider drinks. So down here. Any questions?
Yeah, we'll open up to any questions. All right.
Yeah, looks good. Looks
Well,
like everyone's
we'll
just
leave you
enjoying
with a goodbye from Adam. Oh,
We'll take a peek at the tasting room.
yeah, we'll do a little peek at the tasting room, just so everybody can kind of see what you're missing not being here. So there it is, everybody. Come on down. We've got Bloodies and Bluegrass on Saturdays from 2 to 5. It's a really fun time.
Are you
And
kid
yeah,
friendly?
just keep drinking.
Are you guys kid friendly? Do you allow kids in the tasting room?
We are kid friendly for Bloodies and Bluegrass. Once the sun goes down, no kids, but yeah, we're definitely welcoming kids from 2 to 5 o'clock at least for Bloodies and Bluegrass.
Great. Well, if there are no other questions, we can wrap it up here. If anyone else has anything else, add it in the chat. But I just want to thank Davidson's again. Be sure to use that coupon. Head over there, pick up some more of these great spirits and make some cocktails for your friends. And then thank you, Adam and Wyn and Mile High Spirits, for taking the time to make these cocktails with us and take us on a tour. And then come back in 2 weeks. We will be making Halloween cocktails with Chris Motley. So be sure to check back in 2 weeks. But thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your night. Make a couple more cocktails if you can, and have a great night.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well,